Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Captain's Draft 3.0. We've got our second series of the day set up here. Stake versus Power Rangers. This is lower bracket. It's all on the line. They're both fighting for survival here in the first round. The qualifier stage, the first of three for the third edition of the Captain's Draft, brought to you by Moonduck and Dota Cinema. I'm Zyori, joined by Draskyl as well as Pimp Muckle on the helm for OBS. Andy, we had a long break. I know you filled up your belly. I nibbled on some chocolate. I am ready to rock and roll for our second series, man.
I just hope I don't go into a food coma like halfway through this game. I did the mistake of eating like way too much during the break, so I'll just have to work it off with a little bit of Dota 2, I guess.
All right, I'll try to keep you awake, keep you energized. That titillating conversation about Wim Hof was keeping me happy through the break. But no ancient apparition this go around. We do have a Frost Crystal Maiden, old Frosty there. Looking at this draft, and all of these bans make absolute sense. And there are still a couple of scary heroes left in the pool here, Draskyl.
It's one of the more normal banning phases that we've seen, and in regards to normal, I just mean it looks like Captain's Mode bans.
Yeah,
not
it really
necessarily, not necessarily Captain's Draft. But, because we are playing Captain's Draft, that does mean that since that banning phase is so standard, there are a lot less orthodox heroes left in the pool to draw from. Dazzle, of course, being one of the front runners in that regard. I suppose you still have like your Treant Protector that's been seeing a lot of play lately, and then Lesh, also in the Captain's Draft. He's been picked every series that I've cast at least one time, so maybe we could be seeing the resurgence of that hero as well.
Yeah, we've definitely been seeing a lot of Lesh. And one hero that we haven't seen much of that, honestly, I thought we would see more is Necrophos. He's made it into a couple pools and really haven't seen much attention go his way. He hasn't really been banned at all, and I don't think he's been picked, at least not in the games that I've seen. But Morphling Tusk, nothing too crazy from Power Rangers. Tusk makes a lot of sense. And we did see a Morphling, we saw a Mason Morphling yesterday, I believe, which worked pretty well.
They won that game, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Morphling is kind of... He's been gaining a little bit of popularity. Apparently, if you change and double the value of strength and agility morph, the hero becomes even more unkillable than he already was during the early stages of the game. His carry potential is still insane. I think a lot of people kind of forgot about him because his range isn't necessarily great, and his timing is a bit weird. He actually hits a pretty good timing to be able to fight very early on in the game, just by having max waveform, and then obviously 1 point into adaptive, a couple points into morph. He's probably one of the best heroes at contesting early and small skirmishes just because he's so durable, and he has a very, very hard-hitting nuke. So I think a lot of people don't like the hero because they say it's a boring playstyle, but I disagree. I think you can fight with him pretty early, so I think it can be fun.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of experimentation with the Aghanim Scepter as well on Morphling, with the Replicate that can do some fun stuff with Alchemist, and just the nature of how the Replicate can move around the map. So a very dynamic hero for sure. Razor, we talked about in our earlier series. You mentioned, I think, Liquid is the team that's really been running Razor, but in Captain's Draft, sometimes Razor is just really hard to deal with because he's such a damn good laner. He can shut down so many 1v1 matchups, and trying to think about who Power Rangers might match up against Razor in the mid lane there.
I think the only heroes... I mean, you could put Mag against him. It's actually not too bad a synergy with Morphling because he's a stat-based hero.
Oh, okay.
I think that would be okay. You could pick Sniper, but that's like super YOLO. I think Lesh is also a decent choice. Let's see. You could even go as far as to do like mid-Veno or mid-Necro. There's actually quite a few choices in this pool. The damage strain is always going to be annoying in a 1v1 matchup, but all those heroes have either alternative ways to deal with a link, or it can just outrange it in the case of Sniper. So there are some valid choices left.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Kunkka, he's made it through a couple times as well, but still ignored. You know, when we were doing the Shanghai qualifiers, we went through this whole thing where we tried to name off the bottom 10 heroes, and it was actually pretty hard because the pool is fairly diverse right now, and Kunkka's name came into discussion. I was very quickly shut down, and then, of course, Owie2000 used Kunkka to much avail through a lot of those games. I'm sad we haven't seen him yet here, but this is a change of pace. The Red Man, Axe, picked up alongside Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, Axe obviously a very good counter against the Dazzle. It's some BKB control, which they did not have until they picked Axe. So between Morphling, Tusk, Crystal Maiden, once BKBs come out, a lot of those heroes lose their punch, if you will. And that they needed something else on that team that was going to buy time to bridge the gap between when Tusk and Crystal Maiden fall off, and when Morphling becomes good enough to be able to fight on his own and doesn't really need the backup so much anymore. So it's a solid choice overall. Their laning phase seems a little bit weird. I think the CM is greedy, but it depends on how they run it. It could just be a typical lane support. And back in the day, like this is a long time ago, like maybe even 2 years, where we saw like Crystal Maiden Morphling lanes, and they were pretty devastating. Like they deal a lot of damage and can kill if you're not actually paying attention. But Stake, they're going for the push here. They got Tiny out ready, they got Razor, it's a very good laner, and then they have Shadow Shaman. So I think their composition is very well rounded. Whereas Power Rangers, I think this is actually kind of a tight spot for them, because right now it's very difficult to fight into the 5-mana Stake. And I also think their lanes might even be slightly better than what Power Rangers have right now.
All right, and there's that last pick, Lesh. So the trend is going to continue for you here, Draskyl. I guess these teams knew you were casting, and they knew how much you love Leshrac, so they're keeping you happy.
Yeah, it's just a hero that's always been in the pool. Like every single time that I cast a game of this mode, it's just always Lesh. Sometimes it just happens, though, you know?
Well, he's also versatile. We've seen him even today in a support role as well as a core role. The support was not nearly as scary, but there were a lot of other issues going on with that particular game. So heroes that can just play a variety of roles, kind of like Tusk as well, just they have a little extra shine here in this mode. I like the Stake draft. I think this could be a pretty scary Deathball Dazzle and a Baden. Fun to have together on the same team. Not fun to play against, though. That shit is toxic.
Oh, dude, it's infuriating. It is actually like the scummiest shit in the world. I ain't afraid to say that either, because I'm friends with Synderin, you know? That
See,
is
I tried to be a little
scum.
PC for it. I'm glad you took the layup and just dunked it on top of Synderin there. And yeah, Shannon actually really wanted to cast Stake at some point in this tournament, and he didn't get to cast their upper bracket series. So if they lose here, he's going to be very sad. So you're going to have to fill the Suns fan role here and make sure Synderin is kept an eye upon. Make sure he plays up to standards.
I think it's alright. I mean, to be honest, a lot of pro players complain that heroes like Abaddon and Omni Knight, they just don't have a very high skill cap. Like, you basically, all you do is you sit behind a hero and you cast your spells on somebody who gets you know, stunned or nuked or whatever. It's a very ease of execution thing, which isn't necessarily to say that it's bad. It's just notorious because Dota players have this mentality where if your hero doesn't take skill, then it's just cheese.
By the way, look at this Abaddon set here, Draskyl, that Synderin's got. This is a new set, guys, and it's available for purchase. The Enigmatic Wanderer set. You could get the sick Lesh set that Recovery's not using, but look at how cool this Abaddon is. It's beautiful. And
He's got like
it's actually pretty sick.
Bardiche or something. It's fucking crazy looking.
Yeah, dude, that weapon's less. The horse looks
it's a
sick
halberd,
as well.
sorry.
It's like it's not a horse, it's a ram.
Alright, the dream.
Pretty
You can look
badass.
awesome while you're being a scumbag playing ABBA.
Yeah, so for all you offline ABBA pickers out there, we've got the set for you.
That's
All
actually
right.
a very cool set. To be fair, though, most ABBA sets look pretty cool. Like, it's actually hard to make that hero look bad.
He has a badass model, just in general. I mean, Arthas is a badass, just like character model in general. All of it is, you know, Death Knights are just fucking cool, man. There's no way to make a Death Knight and have it be lame. I guess you give him a really dinky weapon, but wow, look at the. Speaking of cosmetics, look at the Shadow Shaman. I don't know if I've seen this set.
This is the Arts and Crafts Shadow Shaman, actually. What I like to call it. And it just looks ridiculous, to be honest.
It does look like something you would make in Arts and Crafts, though. I think there's a Witch Doctor set that looks somewhat similar, where they turn his face into a beak.
No, it's the flat one that looks like he just cut out a cereal box and just fucking slapped it on his face. I mean, I'm always a fan of that kind of stuff.
It's like those. You remember those shitty cosplay videos that were on the subreddit like last year? That's kind of what it looks like. Shadow Shaman shitty cosplay, bird edition. So,
yeah, I'm a fan.
Synderin starting in the jungle here. Cinder win. A couple of Dark Trolls swinging that halberd, whatever it is.
Bad out to Gal Black.
Yep. Iron Talon, level 1, baby.
It's one of those things, though, where in this game, he's actually making a sacrifice by doing this. Because you can't really do anything for mid, right? Like, just sitting there on ABBA, you're not really going to be able to influence the 1v1 matchup one way or another. I think Lesh actually does okay here, because you can just level Lightning and spam it out. Or you can maybe go for the Edict build that we saw some people doing earlier. Synderin getting kind of low here.
Oh, Big Num blocks him out. Sin pops the Aphotic Shield, starts to rotate around, trades a couple of last hits. He is level 2 with that first point in the Curse of Avernus. So harder for Big Num to trade last hits, and he will have to back out a little bit here. But at least pressuring Synderin, not letting him free farm in the jungle.
Yeah, it's an interesting laning phase, because top is pretty much completely abandoned until the lane gets pushed in. Like, Synderin just gonna
look at all these cosmetics. Look at this Morphling. I thought he was tiny for a second. He looks like he's made out of rocks.
Yeah, that's the Era Morphling set, dude.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time actually since I've seen a Morphling. I know he's been seeing a little bit more play lately, but
Yeah, that's a rare set though. Even the Morphlings I've seen usually don't use those cosmetics. Oh, down bottom lane. Cheshire Cat getting aggressive here. The illusions kind of working against him a little bit. He's getting quite a few spins, but he will be forced to back out. Speaking of cosmetics, the Axe set as well. He's got that huge cape. Man, this is some sick cosmetic game. I'm in.
yeah, that's the Immortal, right?
Yeah, it is. But with Axe, you can trick him out because he has so many damn immortals. He's got the helm, the chest, the cloak, and then he's got that huge scythe. You can make your Axe be particled out and have the little armadillo Draskyl.
You need the Wormguard Edge or Wormguard Edge, whatever the heck it was called, the TI2 axe. That's the dream.
Mm-hmm. I think that thing's pretty expensive.
Yo, dude, I had like 10 of those things, and then I gave them all away. And now I'm sad.
Ah, man. Nope. Up top, Cinderin getting dove on here. Big Numenillidan. There it is. Waveform. You were talking about it in the draft, Draskyl. The power of the Morphling early on. Even just 2 points in waveform. Very mobile. Nice little chunk of damage, and it'll be the Abaddon that dies first.
Yeah, it's a
Cinderin,
fairly low
Cinderin,
cooldown as well.
Cinderin.
It happens. I mean, he was trying to just get as much as he could out of the laning phase. The whole purpose of picking Eva and doing that choke point jungle like he was is, obviously you're not going to be able to contest the lane in the first few waves, you just get hard zoned, and you're not getting anything. So he gets level 3 at 3 minutes. That's actually not too bad. The lane's still pushed in such a way that he will continue to get experience and gold if he's last hitting well. And I think that death, maybe not necessary, but at the very least, he's still getting a decent chunk out of the first couple minutes.
Yeah, definitely true. Checking in on the mid lane, kind of a wash. Both heroes with a couple of denies, quite a few last hits. I'm glad to see Slicks on a team, though, man. There's a lot of names on the Stake Gaming side that I'm friends with slash know well from Han, and Slicks is one that I've just been waiting for him to break out and finally find a Dota team. It's been a while, man. He was so good in Han, and then his transition to Dota 2 was very difficult.
I don't think he put as much time into it, maybe, as he put into Han, at least as far as I know.
I mean, I don't know what his personal effects are like. I'm actually not sure how old he is. I don't know, like, if he's a student or if he works full-time or what. But...
He's in his 20s, I'm pretty sure. I think he's a couple years younger than I am. Well, I mean, I guess everybody is, but...
Yeah.
He was notorious for winning his lanes with, like, a 200 ping disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like, that was what I remember him doing. Because I used to play with him a lot, because he was in DWI, like Toronto and all those guys. And I used to play with him quite a bit. But yeah, he was always extremely good.
Yeah, he played a lot of 1 when I was casting, when he was on Frenetic Array. He played like Forsaken Archer, those kind of heroes, but really just good lane mechanics is what he was known for. But yeah, the ping, I think he's from New Zealand, so ping was always a problem. But he's a really cool player. He's really very cool, calm, and collected, and he used to be a drafter as well, so he's a good... Does he draft for this team? Do you know, I didn't even look in the drafting stage. I don't know who their drafter is.
I think they probably just have like a team effort, but it's most likely, I would guess, Cinderin, right?
The team effort. Yeah, that's a good point, I suppose.
I mean, I don't think... I'm sure that Fogged probably has some input, and maybe Seal Kid as well. But it's very atypical for, like, safe lane position, like, to draft, you know, Era. I'm not saying he can't, but it's just, like, really uncommon.
It is atypical, that's for sure. This Tiny's doing pretty well. Speaking of Era, number 2 on net worth overall. His CS is tied with the Morphling, and about what you hope for. Axe level 5, so he's having an okay time out of the lane as well, but pretty solid laning phase. Aside from that 1 death on Abaddon, he's spent a lot of time in the jungle, still doing quite well, almost level 5 himself. This is a pretty even laning phase here, Draskyl. Everybody's pretty happy with what's going on.
It's actually, like, outside of the First Blood, it is definitely favoring Stake, just because their offlaner is getting quite a bit. I mean, I suppose the Axe is not too far behind.
Actually, a little bit ahead. He just dinged level 5.
Yeah, and experience, and overall CS he's a little bit behind, I suppose. The other thing, too, is Cheshire Cat's item timing is going to be more important to him than whatever Cinderin wants to go for. Like, whenever they feel that they want to push, which is probably just going to be when Fog hits 6, they'll just go in, drop wards on a tower, or try to go for a kill. Because again, it's very difficult to fight just 5 versus 5 into what Stake have, especially if they're allowed to get their siege going before you react. So ideally, Cheshire Cat gets blank, he goes in, maybe like Morphling or Tusk follow it up, they get a really quick kill and they can take the fight from there. But if Stake are allowed to set up, you pretty much can't walk into it anymore. It's just way too scary.
Yeah. You think Era goes Blink Dagger here? Is that just the complete necessity for a Tiny without a Wisp?
I think it would make sense because their team kind of lacks pick. A lot of the time when you have this really dangerous 5-man potential and good push, the best way to complement the lineup is by getting an item that allows you to pick out a hero out of position, especially on a hero like Tiny who does so much damage so fast, you can just get that kill and ensure that you can push off of it. which is very nice. So that's why I was speaking towards the lineup being well-rounded. They can pick, they can push, and they can team fight. And their team fight, like 5 versus 5, is very, very dominant.
Yeah, they probably don't want to go super late, but they've got plenty of kind of early late game carry potential as Tiny continues to scale and stuff. So, all right, more farming. Cinderin up top. Thinking about initiation, perhaps. J4 hiding in the tree line. They did have a lane ward down, like right here, but it got countered by that sentry. I think they put it down in range of the sentry, so a little unfortunate.
It's a very common ward spot, though, to be fair.
Slicks. Caught out in the mid, but he's got support. Dazzle's there nearby. He'll actually turn and steal a lot of damage. About 50. TP reaction, but no blood drawn. Fog's getting a lot of experience as well. Shadow Shaman's level 4 already.
Yeah, both teams are playing it fairly greedy. Like, no one is putting a whole lot of emphasis towards going for kills. They just want a stable early game. Like, PR needs their blink on their axe, and Stake, they're probably just going to go mech on Slicks, and then they're going to go for the 6 on Shadow Shaman, and that'll be their timing. I suppose Era is actually going to have blink before Shadow Shaman even hits 6, which is, like, good, honestly. Just because you can get your combo going so much faster. Era is already, what, the 4th of the way into level 8, which means this combo will be maxed out soon.
Yeah,
He can kill... Oh, speaking of kill, Cheshire Cat almost dying to neutrals.
Yeah. Well, that's the glory of how this lane worked out. Era was basically free farming by himself in the lane, so he got all the XP, and that opened up for Fog to just hang out in the jungle and do his thing. It's a tower down. Tiny gets the last hit. There's the Blink Dagger.
Yeah, so this should be a fairly good time for Fog to just take over the lane. Yep, he's doing that right now. That just means that if they want to go for a smoke, they can send the Dazzle and the Tiny somewhere. They can go for a quick pick. It might reveal the Blink Dagger, but that's fine, because really the only goal right now for Stake is to buy time for the Shadow Shaman to hit 6. Once he does that, they can go for their 5-man Death Ball, and it's still quite a while before Cheshire Cat is going to have his Blink. He's about 1,000 gold away from it right now, and he doesn't even have a place to farm. Like, the entire jungle is going to be respawning in a second, and it's going to be a few minutes.
The Lesh is also pulling up gold right now. He's up to... Oh, he just bought something. Okay, what is it? Beginning of... looks like a Bloodstone.
Bloodstone, yeah.
Okay. So, nothing too strange. He had like 2,500 gold. I'm like, is he just going to right-click a Yule's here? What's going on? But
yeah, he kind of needs the health, though. If he thinks that Era's going Blink, then it makes the most sense to go tanky. He could die here, though.
Here we go. Era blinks in. Avalanche. Toss. Slick stealing damage in the meantime. Easy kill there. Razor will get credit. So, first rotation from Era. That's the Blink Dagger reveal. Yields a kill on the enemy mid. Exactly what Stake are looking for.
All they need now is for that Shadow Shaman down lane to get some more paper mache going and hit 6. That's the dream. That's when you can start actually just going ham. I think that Stake's...
Gotta make Mom proud.
Yeah, their timing is incredibly strong. The thing about Morphling is, I mentioned the awkward timing during the draft. He's actually strong without any items, but it's deceptive because he doesn't build another item that gives him impact for such a long time. Because Linken's is the first thing that he normally gets. Obviously, the Perseverance leads me to believe that will be the same case here for Illidan this game.
Yeah. Oh,
we're
Era.
gonna see a CM. Yeah, see you later.
Oh, yeah. And that's the glory of the early Blink Dagger. You get it at 10 minutes. All of these heroes are so susceptible. Even the tankier ones. Cheshire Cat on the Axe. That combo is going to do a lot of damage. And if there's anyone near the Tiny, it's pretty much a free kill. And, of course, the supports are just juice at this point. So,
yeah.
Good stuff. Even the Tusk, he's only got 780 HP right now. He went for phase boots instead of power treads, so doesn't have that extra little bit of strength in case he gets initiated on.
It helps him keep the static link, and I think he's feeling fairly confident with a Abba and a Dazzle to not have to itemize for nothing but health. Yeah. Although, interestingly enough, Cinderin opted to go for drums. So they are going for like full-on chase, try to just get as much as you can from the team fights, instead of going for the more sustain-oriented route with the Dazzle. But here comes the level 6 smoke.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see where they go. Looks like wrap around in the mid lane. Dire with a pretty defensive posture right now. You look at Radiant Vision, and they don't see a hell of a lot. Only the Morphling farming up top, and everyone else is just so far back. They're going to have to be patient on this one if they want to find a kill. Maybe they can poke into mid and diff out the Lesh.
That kill is a guaranteed tower. Like, if they get this kill, he's dead. I mean, there's 5 heroes here. Even if he just backs off, they drop wards, and it should be fine. Oh, the Axe's blink
just about to expire, though. Oh, Lesh, he's getting close. They see him. Era grabs him with the combo, gets him down low. Other Shock will finish him off. It'll actually be Era that gets the last hit with the punch. But like you said, quick pick leads into a tower.
They're going to go 2 towers here.
I think they save wards, Drop wards on the tier 2. The Morphling already got the tier 1 up top a while ago, so he's going to press into the tier 2, but there is a glyph for the Radiant, and they should easily win this trade and be able to defend top without too much trouble. There will be a Dire glyph, of course, after the tier 1 goes down, but They're in good shape. Even drums used by Cinder in here. The damage is real. They're going crazy. Chop that wood. Come on, Steak.
They might actually try to go for picks when they back. I don't know if they're going to have time, though. Oh, they don't have a smoke? Okay, never mind. I thought they were going to try to pick off stragglers. Bignum had a smoke, but they didn't want to go for it. Just too dangerous to try to fight into 5.
Yeah. Nicely done by Steak, though. Crisp execution. Nice play to save the wards there. Give him a nice little gold lead for now. I'll get Shadow Shaman level 7. 1,400 gold, so 2/3 of the way to the Blink Dagger. And Tiny, I guess you just start working on the Aghanims now. He's got 1,300, so we'll see what he goes for.
I could just be casual drums if he wants to snowball super hard. I think both choices are reasonable. They could actually end the game very early with their lineup. Flix is living life on the freaking edge right now. Doesn't even know it.
Yeah, smoke rotation from Power Rangers. This is, what, a 4 stack that he's working on? A 3 stack?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
That's
man.
4.
They're not going to find him. Maybe, just maybe, the smoke expires. There we go. Slick's caught by the Berserker's calling. Oh, mama. Razor's tanky, but that'll be a freebie for Cheshire Cat. Easy calling blade there. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. They'll trade towers. It's not, like, too bad, honestly, for Steak to lose that one hero. It's a lot of information gained. And the other thing, too, is when you start to get more towers as Steak's lineup, and you start, like, threatening the tier 3s and whatnot and going for Roshan, it becomes even harder for PR to actually fight. So I think, like, taking a straight-up tower trade, while it's the only thing that PR can do and feel confident in, when they are trading and Fog doesn't have to drop wards, he can also continue to do what he did mid, which is get the first tower, and then drop wards on the second, and force PR to either react or sack the tower, and they will push faster, because they not only do they have a Tiny, but of course they have the Master Serpent wards too.
Yep. And Tiny's real pushing power hasn't even opened up yet, and that's the scary part.
Yep. He's pulling quite a bit of gold. He could just be going for eggs.
Yeah, I don't think he goes drums. They already have 2. Slicks went drums as well as Cinderin. 3 drums is a little...
Okay.
Well,
it's not really so much about buying more drums is bad. It's just the idea of what your lineup is meant to do at what point. I don't think Steak want this game going past like 30 minutes. I think they just want to end it. That's why I said that he might buy drums.
Okay, I see. Well, here come the wards on the tier 2. Looks like PR want to mount a defense this time, though. Here we go. Snowball in. Berserker's call onto Era. Catches Cinderin as well. But, of course, he's got the ultimate. That'll bring him back up. Cheshire Cat taking huge damage from Slicks. He'll barely live, but recovery. Not going to be so lucky. Finishes off Dazzle before he goes down, but Lesh is dead. A 2-for-1, soon to be 2-for-2 as Slicks cleans up the Tusk. They find J4, and it's State Gaming that are just starting to overrun them. Illidan goes in. Very ambitious, morphing strength, and now Cheshire Cat with a big Berserker's call. Man's up, gets the Shadow Shaman, but it does cost him his life. 3-for-4. Illidan trying to get aggressive on Slicks. Waveform catches him. That's a kill, and it's an even trade in terms of heroes down, but Steak do finish off the tier 2 tower that they originally came for.
And in all honesty, I would still say that PR are decently okay with that. They lost 2 cores, but at the end of the day, Illidan lives to the team fight. He finishes his Lincolns, and again, showcasing how durable the hero can be. Just a little bit of overextension by Steak, not waiting to just fight around their wards. The only thing that you need to get there is the tower. You don't need to force the engagement super hard. Worst case scenario, you wait for another ward cooldown, you go for Roshan. It's still kind of hard for PR to fight into that enclosed space. So, I don't know. I think that fight was a little bit too risky from Steak.
Yeah. Maybe a little ambitious. Their lead is actually not that big. It's about 3k net worth, but it's all tower gold at this point. You look at the experience graph, and it's actually PR that have a slight edge, even though it's still rather even. And they've got a completed round of items now. Of course, the Blink has been out on the Axe, but now Lincoln's is completed on the Morphling, and Recovery has the full Soul Booster now. So they're getting a little beefier.
And the tankier they get, the harder it's going to be for the Tiny to have the impact that he wants. And there will be a stage where the Morphling and the Axe are just going to be incredibly annoying. You're always going to have Static Link, which is going to be nice for them, but the support damage scaling is going to fall off heavily. And keep in mind that they do not have the tools to kill a Morphling in late game. They just don't.
Yeah.
Like, Morphling used to be kind of 50-50 against Tiny because his attack range was such that if you tried to, like, waveform in, you would get craggied at the beginning of your auto attack. That doesn't happen anymore since they nerfed the interaction. You actually have to hit the hero before you get craggied, so there's not going to be any more of this random waveform in, instantly get stunned crap that used to always happen. Right. So I do feel like PR's mid-late game is just as good, if not even a bit better.
Interestingly enough, Arrow went back for a Midas after the Blink Dagger here. So
yeah, that's bizarre.
Not sure if they want to close it. I mean, Again, Tiny's one of those heroes that really benefits from the attack speed, so it could let him kind of snowball more, but we'll see. Speaking of snowballs, Big Num falls short. Slicks comes in to defend his Dazzle, stealing big damage here. He's going to chase him down, and a few attacks with the whips will bring him down. Tusk is dead, and Slicks gets another one on the scoreboard. So a nice turnaround to keep the Dazzle safe. Well played. Dazzle bait, baby.
Yeah, I mean, one of those games where one or two big team fights could just crack the entire game wide open one way or the other. The thing that's really dangerous about Steak's lineup is, even if you're winning and you're playing against that, if you get caught out one time out of position, like Tiny with Aghanims eventually, Mass Serpent Words, you could just lose a set of racks.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that PR are always going to have to be very cautious of, because they just don't have that great a mobility. The heroes that they have during team fights, like you have some Blink Initiation, speaking of, Cheshire Cat. See you later.
Well, there was an axe there, but yeah, that'll happen. Easy rush rotation here.
Yeah, that kill is really important for them. It'll help them secure the last tier 2. It'll give them the map control they need to restrict PR's movement for a little while.
Of all the heroes as well. I mean, they could still snowball in, but Axe is like really the big threat around the Roche Pit. If you know he's dead, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the best hero to kill, pretty much. Is the only hero with initiation power too, besides Tusk. And Tusk is not really the same as getting like a blank call on like 2 or 3 heroes.
Yeah, definitely not. Alright, well the Morphling is farming pretty well, but now I feel like Stake are actually starting to regain some control here. That Roche is really huge, and now they've got the Aegis up on the Tiny. That'll give Era a little bit of breathing room here, and I guess now you definitely go into Aghanims after you pick up the Midas?
I would imagine so. The only reason I think he gets Midas in this game is because he might not feel confident in their ability to high ground maybe as fast as they wanted to. Like maybe after that top team fight he just decides, I'm going to buy Midas instead. I think the game might stretch out a little bit longer than we wanted to, and having that Midas will help him because he obviously the attack speed, like you mentioned, helps him a great deal, but having the continue item progression when he knows that Illidan pretty much just wants to farm this game, it just helps him stay relevant.
Right, okay. Well, smoke now from Stake. Flicks goes in on the Cheshire Cat, breaks the Blink Dagger. Era with a Blink Avalanche from the side, TP home, but there's the Hex. You're not going anywhere, Axe. Man, Stake with just the pickoffs, man. It's like the last 3 or 4 have just been all great kills. Speaking of kills, Illidan will finish off Cinderin, but there's a rotation, and he's going to get sandwiched here. Avalanche combo. Oh, it's not enough. Mega kill down, and Era gets it. So, all things considered, PR should be pretty damn happy with that trade. They get the pick on the Axe, then they basically end up trading 1-for-1 Cinderin for Morphling. They kill the carry, and Era gets credit for the kill. That's just about his Aghanim Scepter.
That's one of the best things that could have happened, actually. We'll call that a tactical feed by Cinderin. Trading the Morphling for his life is way worth it in this point, because that's the one hero on PR that you would never expect to die. Like, that was his first death of the game. But as I already said, it's very difficult for Stake to lock him down, even with things like Shackle. You know, they don't have a hard silence. Keep in mind, Morphling can continually morph throughout his stun. You have to, like, blow him up or silence him to have a reliable method of taking him down, so getting that kill, very, very big for them.
Absolutely. Razor now with a Yasha, probably an SNY coming out for Slicks. There it is, delivered on the courier, okay. And a set of drums for the Tusks, okay, who is smoked up alongside the Axe, bottom lane rotation. Behind J4, what are we looking at here? Era and Fogged. They've got no idea it's coming. They're dark. Era may walk right into it. Breaks the smoke, but Cheshire Cat, oh god! Era blinks out just in time as the Berserker's call comes through. There's that cast point for you. Now in the river. Recovery and Slicks going at it, but Illidan comes in, pushes Slicks back. Now Era, stun on 2, but Snowball resets. That's an odd-looking graphic there. Walrus Punch out on Era, but this Lash just can't take the heat. Cheshire Cat stuck inside of the wards. Beautiful trap from Fog. They're just going to isolate him. J4 on the backside with a big ult, but it just isn't enough. The damage hurts, but can't bring anyone down. Era will throw up into the air to interrupt. Oh, man, the Ice Shards trap him in place. Big Num looking to make an exodus here. Has a TP scroll. He'll use it, and he'll make it out. Beautifully played by the Tusk at the end, but still a rough team fight for PR. 1 for 3. Dazzle? Okay.
That was close, man. That was close.
That was really close.
I mean, that would have been a really big kill for them, because that's their sustain, you know? If he had the E-Blade finish, obviously it would have been a very quick item progression if he had the full E-Blade right now. But if he gets that kill, there's no more heals. Maybe they have to back a little bit sooner, you know? A little bit. It definitely helps, but unfortunately you can't get that. And again, it's just... Oh, Illidan?
Uh-oh. He's isolated. Shackles. Era has the Ags now, womping him down, but the Morph really effective here. TP Era doesn't have any cooldowns, unfortunate. Nice getaway though from the Morphling.
That morph is actually insane. I think it's like 16 stats a second, right? Something crazy like that.
0.062. Yeah.
It's like 16 because it used to be 8, right? Because they also changed how the conversion works. It's now 1 at a time, and Axe is also going to get blown up inside of the jungle.
Sorry.
How does he just die to
We were distracting our
combo?
observer.
He only dies because he has a bracer, and that's it, and a 17 charge. Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
Axe is level 10, Era's like level 15. Oh, he has double damage too. Yeah, that'll do it. I don't see the graphic. That's weird. You guys see the double damage, or is it?
No, I don't either. Now I do.
There we go. It just came back.
Yeah, it just like randomly popped up.
Yeah, that was odd visual bug. So, okay, double damage, it makes sense. That's a pretty easy kill there.
Yeah.
They're starting to fall behind. This graph up to about 7,500 net worth, 5k experience. They're really getting a lot of control now. And that last fight, man, I feel like the Lesh just couldn't do anything. J4, TP, home, Era catches it. There we go. That's a combo. Dead, Crystal Maid.
This is getting out of hand. They're just giving away too much. They're trying to do what they can to buy time for Illidan, but the fact of the matter is, as we said, this hero has a very awkward timing. Like, he needs quite a bit to go from being, like, decently capable in the early game to actually able to do anything at all during the mid-late game, especially against a team that has this much sustain. Abba and Dazzle together with Weave, most of the damage that he's going to be doing is all right-click until he finishes the E-Blade. And if they're ready for his E-Blade combo, and they either throw a shield onto somebody or get a heal off, that combo doesn't kill, then he pretty much has to replicate out, and then his damage is pretty much done in the fight. He has to rely on everyone else to finish off. So it's a rough spot. I had my reservations, but Stake, they're looking pretty solid right now.
So, Cinderin with this point booster, I imagine it'll be an Aghanims. Thoughts about Aghanims on Abaddon? I guess it could be a Scotty, but Ags just feels like that team fight items they definitely want. I really like the Ags upgrade on Abaddon, honestly. It's one of my favorite pub builds to go.
Yeah, you can trigger it at any time, which is really useful. And the damage redirect is insane. Like, it is so good against heroes like Leshrac and a CM ulti, for example. Ooh, nice dodge there.
They saw the waveform forward. They wanted to catch him, but replicate.
No, that's a solid choice. The only thing that I question in this entire game about his item build is why he went drums instead of mech. Because they didn't actually have... they still don't have a mech. Like, I thought because he was going drums, that would mean that the Razor would buy a mech.
But he went drums too.
But he went drums, so it's a little bit strange. Maybe just a little bit of miscommunication, I'm not sure.
That's true. But the way they played it, though, it seemed like a mech would have really helped out.
Yeah, I agree. If they're just going to stick together as 5 and drop Mass Serpent Wards and try to fight, mech is pretty much one of the best items that you can feasibly get on that type of lineup. But maybe he just felt like he didn't have the mana, because he did go phase as well.
Yeah. Bogged hanging out in the bottom lane here. Level 11 now in the Shadow Shaman with the Blink Dagger. He'll just hide out and eventually retreat. So all the outer towers now down in favor of Stake. They've only conceded 2 of their own. So it's nothing but high ground here. We'll probably see them be patient, just wait out next Roche. Era's Hand of Might is starting to pay some dividends here. And they're still in this kind of window here where Morphling is annoying, but still not really unstoppable by any stretch. He is very close, though, to the E-Blade, and I think he's actually just picked it up. Yep, there it is on the courier. So that's a big power tool coming his way. We'll see what Tiny grabs next. Also, about 3,200 gold sitting on Era.
I think he might just go for BKB or Assault. BKB would pretty much ensure that he can't die in a team fight. The right click from the Morphling's not scary enough to take him down. And plus, we also talked a little bit about Craggy. It did get nerfed, yes, but it's still pretty much a form of mitigation against a hero who has to be in range of it for him to actually hit you. So it's always going to be nice. He has the bonus armor already from things like Weave anyway, and he has a potential Shallow Grave if the axe isn't like in his face trying to dunk him.
Yeah. Honestly, looking at this game, to me it feels like the offlaners are the really big disparity. Like, the impact that Cinderin has had on the Abaddon versus what Cheshire Cat's been able to do on the Axe is just completely inverted.
Yeah, but it's also the way that the lineups function too, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you're playing Axe in this game, imagine how difficult it is to blink into multiple blink-initiating heroes who can also disable you, Mass Serpent Wards, 2 potential healers, one of which that can dispel. Like, it is just a nightmare trying to find a good blink call as an Axe this game. It's just the lineup that they have picked for Stake is very, very a counter to an Axe's typical style of play. Like, there just aren't going to be opportunities for him to find, like, 3 or 4 heroes sitting on top of each other. It just won't be there.
And it's also just the way that the timings happen with the Blink Daggers. If you're an offlaner, an offlane Axe up against a Centaur, for example, and you're sort of fighting for Blink timings, it's a little more even. But Stake's Blink Dagger carrier was their safe lane carry who got huge farms, so he was able to come online way earlier than the Axe, which further made Axe's life difficult, and it just got worse from there. But we see 2 big item pickups now for Stake, double BKBs, one on the Tiny, one on the Razor. Slick's also level 16, so now Eye of the Storm doing a little more damage. They'll smoke up, go through the Roche pit, and head down towards the bottom lane. Looking at Radiant Vision here, they've got some pretty good intel. They know what's going on. There's a ward down in the lane, and they may just go right for it. Indeed, they shall. BKB used by recovery right away. Lincoln's already broken on the Morphling. He'll wait for him out, but wards come down. Walrus punch on Slicks will cost Big Num his life. That's the only kill we've seen so far, and it looks like it's the only one that'll happen in this fight. A lot used for just a Tusk.
The combo came out even from the Morphling, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
The heroes just can't die. They're way too tanky.
Too much sustain.
Yeah, they're gonna try to counter pressure other lanes, I suppose. There was the BKB coming out from Era. Kind of figured that would be the case.
Do you think they may have intentionally not gotten mech and just said, you know what, our sustain is enough. We don't really need it. Let's get drums instead, so we're all harder to kill. Like, is there any merit to that logic when you have a Bad and Dazzle together?
I would say yes if their top team fight didn't go so like. It didn't go badly, but it could have went a lot better if it had one. That's basically the only reason I was wondering why he didn't have it. I mean, he did shield himself in that fight too, which I think ended up getting somebody else killed, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Illidan, he wants Fogged.
Nice.
Sorry, Fogged.
That's what he pretty much needs to do throughout the entire game now. Yeah. And again, it's very difficult for Stake to kill him, so he can play super aggressive right now. His team's even coming in, potentially, to take a team fight here.
Yeah. It's a replicated Abaddon. Could be an interesting fight. Stake are kind of lingering around. They could just quick pick one and level this out, but they're going to have to choose their target carefully. Illidan has the Lincolns as well as a replicate. Cheshire Cat misses the Berserker's call, but they get Illidan off to the side. He starts morphing strength right away. They get him to half health, and he will make it back. Now Slicks with BKB on, takes a Walrus punch. Steel Kid backside. Has to use the Grave. Tusk dies again to the Razor. This is turning into an awkward fight where Slicks is completely isolated. Maybe tunnel visioning a bit too far. He gets decapitated. A mega kill streak down. Now Era goes back in, finds the Lesh. No BKB. He'll get comboed down. Cheshire Cat on the run. Blink Dagger up in 1 second. Looks like he'll make it out. Illidan and J4 on the high ground. They'll be okay for now. Shotgun clips the Shadow Shaman. Poor Fog gets blown up again. Illidan playing this one dirty with the shot-off shotgun in the back line. My God.
Yeah, he's keeping them in the game right now. It's pretty much Illidan's show from now on. A couple of good blink calls and a CM ulti or two can definitely have some impact here, but you're looking to Illidan now to just be like, please, Senpai, carry me. This is what they need. The E-Blade Adaptive Strike combo is online. You can kill either of the supports with it. The damage is completely insane, and he will eventually transition to a point where they simply can't kill him anymore. I think he'll probably end up going for like Manta, Butterfly, or like the Lifesteal route as well. I think those are both good. Scotty is also a solid choice this game if you want to go for like the maximum chasing potential. Yeah. But once he gets like 1 or 2 more items, because of the Tiny's item progression, the way that he built, like he didn't go the maximum farming route. He didn't build AC before BKB. And this BKB was meant to be able to win like the next couple of fights, secure another Roshan, and end the game. That's the important thing. Like 30 minutes and onwards, it starts to become more and more PR's territory.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're starting to feel that lack of catch that Stake has in these longer team fights, where sure, Era can catch somebody when it's a quick pick or at the beginning of the fight, but once the fight starts to break out, PR can disengage really easily. We saw the 10-second BKBs used and the 9-second BKBs, and both times Stake really wanted to commit to a hard fight, and PR were able to just kind of delta split. They took a few losses, the Tusk sacrificed himself, the Morphling played Ring Around Rosie in the back, and all things considered, they mitigated their losses pretty effectively. Stake will grab the second Roshan, though. Aegis of the Immortal goes to the Tiny, so Era will have a second life once again. But I completely agree. They need to group up. They need to end this thing soon. At the very least, they need to get a lane of barracks so they have some more lane control pushing in. But at this point, I don't think one lane is enough. PR can hold that off pretty effectively. They need more Draskyl. They need a biggin. And oh God, speaking of biggins, a BKB on Illidan. What are we gonna do?
They're not killing him, that's for sure. The BKB is the choice that you make when you feel like the enemy team is going to try to just straight up kill you right now, which I think is a fair assessment. Because Stake just got that, they got the Aegis. Obviously they don't know it yet, but Cinderin also finished up his Aghanims at the same time. This is a very strong timing. Speaking of, here we go top.
Yep, they're going in. Slicks in some trouble, Walrus Punch, but oh, it's a Glimmer Cape. They're lacking on the detection front, no gem, and they'll keep them alive. Now they reset, Cheshire Cat caught by Fog. He takes the shotgun, but he lives. It's a miracle. Morphling wanted to go in on him, but had to back out, and everyone will stay alive.
I think it's actually better for PR that they just disengaged there. There was not really a whole lot they could do, especially considering I don't even think Lesh was there, right? He's like bottom lane, yeah. Didn't have a tower to TP to or anything, so yeah, good for PR that they got out of that situation.
Yeah. How did Fog live? Did he get healed in between, or did he?
The combo didn't hit at the same time.
Okay, yeah, it looked a little awkward.
Yeah, he had, I think he threw the adaptive first to interrupt the shackle, and then he used E-Blade afterwards, maybe to just force him to back, instead of like continually running forward and trying to go for another disable. And it worked, it just didn't kill him.
I see. I see.
But all in all, it's fine.
Yeah, Lesh with the BKB, still at that 9-second charge, and now has a plate mail, so recovery's doing okay, but 4 charges on this Bloodstone. He hasn't really been able to ball out of control with it. These last few team fights, he's been focused pretty hard, and for good reason. I mean, he does huge damage if left unchecked, but the ending result is that he can't just be that driving force that charges in the front lines anymore. They just kill him too fast.
Yeah. It's getting a bit sketchy here for PR. This is a really hard push to stop.
All right. Serpent Ward's down on the high ground. Dire have a glyph, but look how fast the tower goes down. They glyph it now. Remember, Era has Aegis. They'll Glimmer Cape him. They'll Aphotic shield him. My golly, this is painful to watch. Drum charge is used. They're doing everything they can to poke at Era, but they're able to sustain through it. Now on the back line, they're going on to Seal Kid. Dazzle dies first. Not a bad way to start off this fight, but now the turn. Cheshire Cat thrown up in the air by Era. Almost enough damage to bring him down. Finally falls. Big Numb on the backside getting chased by Slicks. Should be able to get finished off. Yep, there we go. One last auto attack will do the dirty. Meanwhile, Rasta Ward's just finishing off the barracks. They got the melee, really what they came for. And they still have the Aegis. Doesn't expire for another 2 minutes. J4 now caught, crowd controlled, and finished off. It's 3 in the grave for PR, 4 still alive for Stake. All the outer towers are down, so they can just move to another lane of barracks if they want, but they caught the Morphling. Lincoln's gets broken. He still has a replicate down, and man, they can't finish him off. He still has the 10-second BKB. He's not even scared here, Draskyl. Look at him. He just replicates back. What a dirty devil.
He doesn't have a reason to be scared, man. He's the unkillable water man. Well, he did die one time, I suppose, but that's because he was diving in a bad and past the tier 2. Obviously, any hero is going to get punished for doing that, especially when there was such a heavy TP reaction, but damage is done. That's all you really need to do if you're Stake. You still have the Aegis standing. AC is probably going to be done here on Era. I think he just drops his Midas for this. Yeah, there we go. So he is about as strong as he's going to get. I mean, obviously he can pick up like a Moon Shard, maybe a Daedalus or something, if he wants to go for like the hard 6 slot after the Aegis fades, but his power is pretty much reaching its peak, whereas Illidan still has much room for improvement in his inventory. I think the BKB might have been too defensive a choice, honestly. It sounds weird, but they already had such a hard time killing him that if he bought another item that helped him deal damage, at least, you know, right click, or if he buys like Manta just for a little bit more mobility and whatnot, maybe that would be enough to help him carry through the fight. And plus it also benefits the E-Blade combo, any stats that he gains, which helps keep it relevant against the Dazzle and the Shadow Shaman, because ideally you want to kill them immediately. And because one of them has a Glimmer and the other one has a full hood, it's going to get harder and harder to do that. And if you give the time to Stake to react, they're going to save the support that you go on, and then your combo is all for naught.
Yeah. And on top of that, you've got the Abaddon ult you got to worry about as well. If Synderen's in the right place at the right time and sees it coming, he could always borrow time to mitigate some of that damage. So
yeah,
there are a lot of ways to try to effectively stop the shotgun from just one-shotting somebody, and then they can at least regen up and react. We'll see a smoke now picked up by the Tusk, so perhaps it is PR that want to start to get a little bit aggressive here. They move into enemy territory. Era pops forward, but can't catch Illidan. Waveform will keep him safe. They've got a nice aggressive ward on the high ground to give a lot of intel of Stake's movements, and with that, PR will just disengage. So, the war of attrition continues, 35 minutes in. This is where things start to get tense. Synderen with a plate mail, I guess that'll turn into a Shiva's Guard, given that they have the AC already.
Yeah, most likely. I can't really
this could
see.
be a Lotus. Is this a Lotus game?
Not really.
Not particularly.
I mean, unless he wants to dispel, like, the ethereal form, or he can put the Lotus on maybe one of the supports when they're pushing. That would make it so there's a lot less incentive for Illidan to go on them. I suppose you could use that argument. It's not terrible, but I think Shiva's is amazing against this kind of team when you want to be in the middle of a fight anyway, right? You're putting
And it
ore
also
on everyone.
gives you more catch. I think that solves one of the problems that we brought up a few times. Now Illidan, Lincolns gets broken mid. They've got the crowd controls. He's falling fast. He's morphing, but it's not enough. Slicks gets the kill, and Morphling's down for the count. He does have a buyback here. He'll burn it right away. I think it's the right call. Get that baby on cooldown because you're going to need it.
Yeah. I think it's like good enough. At first I was a little bit surprised the Fog decided to just YOLO drop wards, but at the end it forces a buyback. That's more than enough damage dealt. I would gladly drop Mass Serpent wards to make the other team's carries spend like, what, over 1,000 gold at this point, just to be able to buy himself back into the game. So just some economical damage dealt. They can just wait out the Mass Serpent ward cooldown again, just go for the repeat, try to get more chip damage, and the tier 3s in the top and the bottom lane. And let's see, how long on Roche? Still a little while. Aegis is gone now.
Yeah. Well, now they have this window, though, where they can easily wait out the next Roche and still know the Morphling's buyback will be on cooldown. And it's Aegis and Cheese. So I think you just burn 2 or 3 minutes, farm, sit back and chill. And if you can secure next Roche or get a pick off right beforehand, this high ground siege gets way easier.
Yeah, I think it's a danger zone for PR, to say the least. Illidan, his item progression is just completely halted. Like, ever since he bought the BKB. It's still 10 seconds as well. Like, he didn't even get a chance to use it when he got caught mid.
He hasn't needed it. I mean, and there, it's he either is able to scoot away with the Lincolns and just morph waveform, or he's completely crowd controlled where he can't BKB out of it anyhow.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I was saying I'm like the more that I see the game play out, the less that I like the BKB choice, because the only way he dies is how he died mid, and the BKB isn't going to save him if he's not fast enough.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Initiation down bottom. Era, the one that gets caught, but he gets force staff back, stays alive. There's the shallow grave. Now the turn. Cheshire Cat falls first. Recovery with BKB on. Denies himself. Fast 2 for nil. BKB for Illidan used, but it's expired now. He's trying to man up on Fog, but it's not the right target. Fog's alive. He turns, drops the shackles, and that's it. Illidan calls GG as he gets finished off by the Tiny, and it's Stake Gaming that takes game number 1 here after 38 minutes. My God, after all that, it seemed like Illidan was really in control for a while, but those last 2 deaths completely cost PR the game as he was stuck without a buyback and dead for 80 seconds.
Yeah, that was their last-ditch effort. They knew that the game was a losing battle for quite a while now. As soon as they killed mid, it became like dire straight situation for them. They needed to win a fight very decisively before the next Roshan spawned, or the game was just over. Because there's no way that you can contest Stake in a straight-up 5v5 with the lead that they had, given their hero lineup and the item progression that Illidan had at that stage in the game. They were just too heavily reliant on him. And during the last team fight, they killed Cheshire Cat first, which means that even with the damage they dealt to Era, normally you would have the Axe follow up with the Coal to make sure the Tiny actually dies, and then maybe you have a trade. But since Cheshire Cat died before Era was in call range, the fight is just automatically over at that point. You can't win it anymore.
And it seemed like a good, or like a decent initiation onto the Tiny, but the force staff there from Fogged also helped save him. It got him in range of the shallow grave from Seal Kid, and as soon as the shallow grave was there, it seemed like they weren't even going to get him into the threshold for Axe to cut his head off. So pretty good game overall, though. We'll see what happens in game 2. Remember, guys, this is lower bracket. So now PR 1 loss away from elimination here in the qualifier round of Captain's Draft 3. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zyori, joined by Draskyl as well as Pimp Muckle doing the OMS. I think Slacks may be joining us for stats coming up in the next game here. Stick around because this series is coming, or the conclusion of this series is coming up next.